Welcome back to Out of the Fog. Well, before the break, I was speaking with Jennifer McCreath, and we're going to pick up where that conversation left off. So it was 2007 when you became Jennifer, right? So tell me about that.
I had just moved to Newfoundland and to take a really good job. At the time, I knew I needed money to transition and went wherever the job was. It was here. Never thought I would actually stay here. I thought I would go back to a big city, but I couldn't wait to get this process on the go. And I liked Newfoundland, and it seemed that the people were around me were accepting of it. So within 6 months of taking this new job and moving to Newfoundland, I went full-time as a woman. And shortly thereafter, legally changed my name to Jennifer in early 2008, and started the medical process of detestosteronizing my body, there's a word for you, and replacing it with estrogen. And that was a major change, I guess, to my emotions and to my energy levels. I also, there's a lot of other little things that need to be done if you want to be seen and accepted as a woman. One, because it's who I am, who I want to be. Two, because I have to convince the doctors to write a letter recommending me for surgery. If you feel you need surgery, transsexual surgery, you must first prove to the doctors that you can undergo a gender change from man to woman before they'll let you go from male to female. And so, interestingly enough, I was thinking about that as part of this process and finding the medical professionals who would literally observe me living as a woman for a year. And if it's like they call it the real life test. If you can survive living life as a woman, as a male, then you can become a female.
What was that year like for you?
The first year was challenging. I went full-time very early into the process. Before I even went and saw a doctor, I was living life as Jennifer. And it's amazing what the hormones do to your face. The face equals passability. And when you've got basically a man's face and you're presenting yourself as a woman, that can be challenging, especially for people that have never seen this and don't understand what this is all about. But after educating people about the process, they just eventually got used to it.
So you have a very unique experience in that you lived for 33 years as a man. And then since then, in 2007, now you are living as a woman. So that's very unique.
I think it's very interesting, one, to know whether or not people are seeing and accepting me as a woman and treating me as a woman, or if they're treating me as this oddity. But in situations where people did not know or weren't able to know, I noticed, and it's sad to have to say this, sexism still exists in this world. I was taken less seriously, and I guess people expected more superficiality, and it's 2012 still today. It exists. I'm earning half as much money as I did when I was a man. It's the expectations that it's more important that you look pretty than that you're smart. And yeah, I think that's something that definitely points out from, I guess, a society perspective. I'll throw this in from a physical perspective, having gone all the changes. When you don't have testosterone, you lose your strength. I don't have muscles anymore. I don't have endurance. I went from being a good athlete to someone who can barely get the groceries home. And that's a bit of a wake-up call. Gave me a lot of respect for women and what they have to go through. Being physically vulnerable, worrying about safety. Like, there's something I'd never had to really consider until now.
What is it that you want people to know about you?
I guess ultimately I want people to see beyond the transsexualism and see me as a human being. See me as someone who has a lot to offer society, someone who's passionate about life, about being healthy, and who loves nature. I love animals, whether it's my cats at home or whether it's feeding the ducks at the pond. Someone who takes a keen interest in the world around me. I watch the news every day, television, internet, political discussions. I'm right in there on Twitter with all those folks that were in the media there, all the MHAs, and I'd love to become one of them one of these days. I don't know if it would be at the provincial level or at the municipal level, but having grown up in a family and in an environment that evolves around, I guess, everything from nonprofit work to public policy to political work, it's something that I've kind of taken to, and I think I just have a natural knack for it. And an advocate, I think, is another word I'd like to use. I do a lot of advocacy work. I tend to put others ahead of myself and try to do what's best for everyone else.
A lot of people, and you mentioned advocacy and being involved in the community a little bit earlier, a lot of people might remember you from St. John's Pride. Yeah. So you left that a little while ago. What went into your decision, because you were the head of St. John's Pride?
It got to the point, one, where I realized that whether it's right or wrong, I was perceived as a hindrance, and two, I knew that I had trans-specific work that I wanted to do from an advocacy perspective nationwide. And I figured now's probably the right time for me to phase myself out. I built up the organization to the point where everyone on the team wanted it to be, and we prepared, no pun intended, a transitional phase to bring in some new talent there. And I left, and I think a lot of people were happy, a lot of people were sad. One thing I did criticize the gay lesbian community was how I feel they don't really understand transsexualism. They can't really relate to us, and I've questioned whether or not the gay and lesbian movement is the right alliance for trans people as we fight for the things we're fighting for. Sexual orientation and gender identity are very different things.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting because you were never a gay man.
No.
Right, and I'm sure a lot of people would assume with transsexualism that you wanted to be a woman, so you would be attracted to men.
It's funny, I guess the most common misconceptions are, one, that I'm a gay man, or two, that I'm a heterosexual woman who likes men. And I think it's an interesting, being a trans person puts you kind of in the middle of the sex and gender gray area, as I like to call it. I'm too masculine for some and too feminine for other. And bottom line is I don't fit in anywhere.
What would you say to people who, like children, teenagers, adults, because you were an adult too, like who are going through the same sort of feelings that you were going through?
I guess first and foremost, don't ignore your gut instinct. If this is what you feel you are and need to do, don't hold back. Don't hide it. It won't go away. You can't talk yourself out of a birth defect. Take steps to put together a program to make this happen. Transition works. 99% of trans people who transition end up living happy, successful lives. More than half who don't end up committing suicide or dealing with major depression or getting into drug abuse. So don't doubt yourself. This can happen. It can work, and it can work anywhere, even in Newfoundland of all places.
Jennifer, I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and telling me your story.
Thanks so much for letting me tell the story.
We like hearing from you, so let us know what you think of tonight's show. Leave your name and number, and we may just broadcast those comments. Call us at 757-9600 or drop us an email, outofthefog@rci.rogers.com.
Well, thanks very much to Anna for that interview, and to Jennifer for taking the time to come on Out of the Fog and speak so candidly about her life.
You can actually learn more about Jennifer by visiting her website and her blog. You can also contact her through either one. Her website is jennifermccreath.com, and her blog is jennifermccreath.blogspot.ca.
Now, if you or someone you know is going through something similar to Jennifer, she is more than willing to offer a supportive ear. She is clear to state that she's not a doctor or a lawyer, but she is obviously someone who has gone through the transition process and is very willing to offer guidance and support. Probably a great thing to find if you're in similar circumstances.
That's right. She actually mentioned that she's very active on Twitter in that interview, so you can find her. Just log on to twitter.com/Jen with 2 N's _McCreath.
Well, that's it for us this evening, folks. Thanks very much for tuning in to Out of the Fog tonight. It was another interesting interview, and we hope you all have a very lovely evening.
Good night, everyone.
Call the
the Rogers TV viewer response line at 709-757-9600 or email your comments to outofthefog@rci.rogers.com.
Looking for an all